to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and welcome. So I'm gonna dive into the topic. I'm really way up in my head right now for several things. My words are, I'm having a hard time getting my words out and lately, and because I think all of the work I've been doing around the house and like looking online for decor, and like Christmas is around the corner, and I want to be able to shop for that. So I'm trying to figure out like how to go on the computer for like 5 minutes at a time to look for something and then take a break and do that like a couple times a day. Anyway, and I've been questioning my own, it happens every once in a while, questioning myself doing the podcast. I think it's just only human that I do that, that I think, whenever you put yourself out there, you hope that you're making a difference. And it's so easy to shrink back into the idea that I'm doing it for no reason. A lot of times I don't hear there are times that go by, long periods of time that go by that I don't hear anything back from anybody who listens. I see that people are listening, but I don't like have any one-on-one interaction with anybody who listens, and it makes me start feeling like, why am I doing this? And I have to remember why I'm doing it. I talked to my psychiatrist today, and I was talking to her about the topic that I brought up over the past week about getting really absorbed in sad things and having a difficult time letting it go, and a little bit about empathy and stuff, and it's a whole topic in itself, obviously, because I did a whole episode on it. But I was talking to her about how I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't just stall my life and start getting absorbed in something that I heard that was really sad or something like that. And that I wish I could just be able to let things go easier. And she reminded me that the fact that you do hold on to things it feeds a lot of your passion for wanting to help other people. So it's actually a superpower if you look at it correctly, and I believe that, but I have to remember that, because that tendency for me to get all up in my head can either defeat me or empower me. It's going to do one or the other. It's not going to leave me somewhere in the middle. It's overwhelming, and I I can't let that part of me go. It's a part of me, and I can either look at it as a character defect or I can use it for good. It's like, okay, you have this superpower. You can either use it for good or you can let it defeat you. And I have to work at it. I have to work at letting it empower me. Um, and usually, when I show up here and I talk through a topic, when I finish, I feel very empowered. I feel like it was worth it. I feel like I got something out of it. And so I know some other person in the world would get something out of it too. And that's why I do it. Maybe that one person in the world hasn't listened to it yet. Maybe they have, but I know that feeding it into the world is a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. So Switching topics though, what I wanted to talk about today is regret. So this is a topic that came up in my Monday evening in person meeting. And I didn't share that day. Part of it's because I'm having a hard time staying focused enough to articulate a real deep thought or story. Like I can't get from the beginning to the end without losing my train of thought. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I took notes as I usually do. You can probably tell that my enthusiasm is a little bit tame today, and that's because I just get I'm not discouraged, but it gets difficult. It gets hard to. I was talking to my psychiatrist and I was like, it was interesting to actually talk to her about the difficulty communicating when I'm very symptomatic. Because when I'm very symptomatic, I really have a hard time. Like, what happened is I was trying to explain to her how I was feeling and the difficulty finding the words and stuff. Like, you can't hear it. Like, I told her, do I seem different? And she said, you seem a little disconnected from your normal vocabulary. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. I can't find it. I can't find the vocabulary in my head. It's like there's a cloud inside my head and I can't find the words. And by the time I'm going to say something, by the time I want to express the thought that's in my head, the thought disappears. It's very strange, but it happens all the time. And I think I used to get really humiliated. I used to feel just really embarrassed, and I could literally feel my temperature going up because I would get so worked up about the fact that I couldn't hold on to a thought. I couldn't hold on to a thought from beginning to end while I was saying it. That's like multitasking, thinking and talking at the same time. It doesn't seem like it would be multitasking, but for me, I can't seem to do both of them. I can't seem to talk and think through something at the same time. I'll even sit in my meetings and I'm always taking my notes with my Remarkable tablet and I'll be taking my notes and writing's even slower than talking. So I'll get a quarter of the way through writing down a thought and the thought is gone. And then I'm like, I have no idea what I was going to put there. And I've heard so many stroke survivors being in support group meetings, I've heard them do what I'm doing. And I get a lot of practice with my podcast, practicing losing that train of thought and getting it back, or practicing figuring out how to pick myself back up. It's kind of like walking and you're tripping and you keep catching yourself and pulling yourself back up. Only it's cognitively. I'm tripping as I walk and I'm trying to hold on to whatever I can to get from point A to point B. You understand? So that's really what I'm suffering with a bit over the past couple weeks. And it comes and it goes, but over the past, I feel like 2 weeks, it's really been, I thought I was getting better, but it seems like I'm not. So I don't know, probably need to nap, which is challenging when I feel like I have so much to do. I know. I heard myself say that. Yeah, I know the answer is to nap. But okay, so anyway, all that to say, I didn't share in the meeting because I was embarrassed that I would try to start talking and I wouldn't be able to finish my sentence and finish my thought. So I didn't share. But the topic was regret. And what somebody asked was, are there things in your life that you still regret after being in sobriety for those of you who are long timers, old timers, I guess they call them, do you still hold on to things? Are you still regretful of things? And so I thought about it and I was writing notes about it as folks were talking. And this is what I came up with. I was, instead of talking, and I was just sitting there thinking instead, I was trying to think of it from like an outsider's point of view. I was trying to think about regret as if I was my own mother. You guys have heard me say that before. So I was thinking if if my kids were regretful about something, how would I respond to them? And and it would be quite differently than the way that I respond to myself. It's really helpful when I get into that train of thought that I'm my own mother because, and it's so easy for me to do that because when I was drinking, I was such a childlike version of myself. And that was so recent. It's not very long removed from who I am today that I can still feel it so deeply. So it's as odd as it sounds, like I feel like those two pieces of me, those two versions of me, can interact with each other. That sounds really like I'm crazy, but hopefully that makes sense. So when I was thinking about it from that perspective, from like a motherly perspective, I was more like acknowledging how natural it is for humans to feel like they could go back and rewrite their past. My program tells me that I will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And I truly did not believe that was ever going to happen. And as I was sitting in the meeting the other day, I thought, yes, there is something that I'm still regretful of. And that is making my daughter feel like she was the mother, making making them feel like I wasn't present and whatever other ways that I may have hurt them when I was drinking. But as I was sitting there, like removed from myself and looking at myself as if I'm my own mother, I was like, yeah, but it's just natural because, like, if I'm a mother, I want to encourage my child. So I was thinking, yeah, but if they hadn't have seen you like that, they would not have seen how much you have grown, how much you have overcome. So looking at it more like a teaching moment, because that's what I do as a mother. I try to look at what my kids are experiencing and ask them, like, or tell them, what did it teach us? And for me, looking back at when I was like laying in bed, just completely sick and hungover and not being able to function and take care of my own kids, I think of my immediate thought is regret, but, and I want to bury it. But if I force myself to look at it, if I force myself, like, stop making that experience a life sentence of punishment, because I can't change it. But instead, look at it. Don't be, don't lower my head, but look at the past and look at it honestly, and see that that painful memory holds lessons for wisdom and humility. And that is, if I did not fall, they would not have seen me get back up. So rather than forgetting that it happened and regretting that chapter of my life, look at how that chapter played into my whole story about who I am today. Um, it's hard to look back at those types of things and not relive it. It's kind of like the topic I was talking about with my psychiatrist today about getting stuck in thoughts that make me sad. I have a tendency to do that, and it's really hard. It's really hard. It's a part of that overly empathetic side of me that I want to always put myself in the victim shoes. And in these cases, my kids were the victims, and I want to, it's like maybe if I put myself there, I can resolve something about the past. And that's just not going to happen. My daughter witnessing my illness in the way that she did, however painful that was, she sees the gravity of what I have overcome. And that being able to see that transformation doesn't erase the pain that I made her feel, but it reframes it. And what what once, as I'm sitting there in the meeting, I'm looking at that, what was making me feel shameful then becomes a symbol of strength and resilience. The same exact memory goes from shame to strength and resilience. And uh, that all happens just by reframing how I look at it. It goes from my old way of thinking, where I want to obsess about the hard stuff, the sad stuff. I want to find a reason, like subconsciously, I want to find a reason to be depressed. And I don't know why, but that's just my default. I want to find a reason to crawl under the covers. I want to find a reason to drink again. I want to find a reason to shrink into nothing. And I won't let myself do that anymore, because I know that if I start shrinking, it's terribly difficult to get back up again. It's more difficult to get back up the more I let myself shrink. It's kind of, you know what it's like? It's like last Halloween when I decided to stop being vegan and I was going to start eating candy again. Um, and I gained like 15 pounds. I just let myself do that. And I am, let's see, I just went to the doctor. I've lost 10 of those pounds. And it's terribly difficult to lose weight once you've gained it, but it's a lot easier to maintain it. And that's where I am with my sobriety. It's so much easier to maintain this perseverance. Even though it looks like courage, there's lots of people that are like, oh, you've been through so much and look at what all you do. It's so much easier to maintain this this self-awareness and self-forgiveness and just practicing the program and the principles in all of my affairs every day rather than being like, you know what, I'm tired of this, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it anymore, I'm going to take a week off. And then just eating my candy and gaining all this weight. It only takes a week or two to gain 15 pounds. It really does. It only takes a week or two for me to sink into a deep depression if I allow myself to. So, I think that looking at the past as something that can't be changed, there is, it's easy to look back and see a decision in our life, like one decision. This is what I was kind of amazed by this idea that we can look back in our lives and remember one thing, one single decision that changed the entire trajectory of our life. Um, and a lot of times, like for me, when I think back at drinking, it was multiple decisions. They were all wrong and they kept going in the wrong direction. But sometimes there's that one decision that changed the trajectory of my life. And it's okay to grieve that but you have to get past it. Grieving, if you remember, I talked about like last week, grieving versus mourning, like grieving is a process. And it's the point is to get to a point of acceptance and letting it go and realizing that no amount of mental activity is going to change the beginning, the middle, or the end of what happened. There is no excuse. There is no what if. There's no story that can be rewritten. Acceptance is not. I'm trying to think of the word. Acceptance is not. Here we go. My mind went blank. Acceptance is not, we're going to move on because I don't know what the end of my sentence was. But it's a matter of surrendering to the truth. And that's when you can start moving forward. It's like there are so many instances that I can think of in my life where I've wanted to go back. I either wanted to go back or I wanted to stay and not move forward. And I did that. I did that for years and years and years. And there's nothing fun that happens in the past. Even if there was fun stuff that happened in the past, I can't relive it. I can't relive anything from the past. I have to accept that it's over. And that can be so freaking difficult to accept that the past is over. Um, And I think the key for me is finding gratitude in what is happening right now. If I can find gratitude in what is happening right now in my life, then that regret from the past once again gets reframed into gratitude that it happened, because I wouldn't be where I am right now with all the wonderful things I have if that stuff hadn't happened. And so reframing that past behavior, um, as instead of like failure, moral failure, or all of these symptoms of being human, instead look at it as a stepping stone. Um, I remembered what I was going to say. Acceptance is not condoning the behavior, condoning what happened in the past, but it is releasing yourself from the punishment that you keep putting the life sentence that keeps you stuck, that keeps you, I don't want to move forward. I don't feel like I deserve to move forward. Um, and today, life is about making sure that I don't repeat what I did in the past. And if I allow myself to sink, then I'm at risk for repeating my bad behavior in the past. That's how I can honor the lessons of my regrets, doing my best today to prevent new regrets from being born. So, I think that when I think back to the some of the bigger regrets that have changed over for me into moments of gratitude or memories of gratitude. Um, I always can link it to something that really changed the trajectory of my life. Those big regrets, the ones when I think about them, I get all flush and like my heart starts racing and stuff. Those are the ones that change the trajectory of my life. And if I can be grateful for where am right this moment, then how can I not be grateful for how I've tripped up in the past? Like, but I think it's still important, just like everything, to name the stuff that haunts us so that we can turn the shame into um, proof that we're human, into shared humanity. Um, those regrets don't have to control my narrative today. It can be a part of my history, but not a part of my identity. And that's really hard to do. I'd say it's something I have worked really hard at over the past 9 years in sobriety. And part of that is when I'm doing making my amends is making sure that I add myself to my list of amends. There are several times a week that I have to remind myself to not be mean to me and just be gentle. And And then my mind just went blank again. So we're going to stop right there. It's a difficult day of thinking, but that's what I've got for you today, and I will take a nap tomorrow, I promise. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.